Sunday morning. That's what gets me. It was a Sunday morning, and I was thinking about pancakes. December 7th, 1941. I was 21 years old, signalman third class, stationed on the USS Nevada. We were moored at Battleship Row, Ford Island, to our starboard, the Arizona just ahead of us. It was paradise, really. Hawaii, palm trees, warm weather in December while folks back in Chicago were freezing their tails off. I'd been in the Navy for 2 years and thought I had it made. My name is Robert James Mitchell. Bobby to my friends. Rob to my mother. I joined up in 1939 because jobs were still scarce from the Depression, and the Navy promised 3 squares and a paycheck. They trained me as a signalman. Flags, lights, visual communication between ships. It was good work. Technical. Important. You had to be smart, had to be quick. I was proud of it. The Nevada was a good ship. Old girl, commissioned back in 1916, but they'd upgraded her, modernized her. She wasn't as fast as some of the newer ships, but she was tough. 14-inch guns, heavy armor. Her crew was solid, too. Good men from all over. Farm boys, city kids, guys from Texas and California and Maine. We'd trained together, worked together, became tight like you do on a ship. Saturday night, December 6th, we had liberty. Half the crew went ashore to Honolulu. I stayed aboard, didn't have the cash to go drinking, and I'd promised my girl back home, Sarah, that I'd stay out of trouble. Wrote her a letter that evening, told her about the sunsets, about how I was saving up for a ring, about how maybe she should start looking at wedding dresses. Mailed it on Saturday. She got it Wednesday, after she'd already heard the news on the radio. That night, I slept in my rack below decks, hot and stuffy like it always was. The ship was quiet, peaceful. We were supposed to have drills on Monday, but Sunday was for rest, for church services, for lazy mornings. The war in Europe seemed far away. Japan was making noise, but nobody thought they'd actually hit us. Not here, not at Pearl Harbor. I remember my last thought before falling asleep. Tomorrow I'm sleeping in. I woke up to explosions, not the wake-up call, not reveille. Explosions. The whole ship shuddered and I was thrown from my rack. Hit the deck hard. All around me, men were scrambling, confused, some still half asleep. Someone was yelling, but I couldn't make out the words over the noise. Another explosion. Closer. The lights flickered. That's when I knew something was really wrong. Ships don't shake like that during drills. I grabbed my pants, pulled them on while running for topside. No shirt, no shoes, just pants and pure adrenaline. The ladders were jammed with men, everyone trying to get up, get out, get to their stations. Someone fell, got trampled. The smell of fear, actual fear, was already thick in the confined spaces. I burst out onto the main deck at 07:55. What I saw didn't make sense. Planes, low-flying planes with red circles on their wings, diving, strafing, dropping bombs. The harbor was full of explosions, water geysers shooting up, oil fires spreading, black smoke pouring from ships. The Arizona, just ahead of us, was burning. Men were running everywhere, some jumping overboard, others manning guns that weren't even loaded yet. The noise was overwhelming. Explosions, aircraft engines screaming, anti-aircraft fire starting to respond, men shouting, screaming, the crackle of fire, all of it layered together into this wall of sound that made thinking impossible. I stood there for maybe 5 seconds, frozen. My brain couldn't process it. This was Pearl Harbor. This was Hawaii. This was supposed to be safe. We weren't at war. Were we at war? What was happening? Chief Signalman Harris grabbed me, physically shook me. Mitchell, signal bridge, now. Training took over. I ran. Up the ladders to the signal bridge, taking them 3 at a time. My station, my job. Whatever was happening, I had a job to do. The signal bridge gave us a view of the whole harbor. It was hell. Actual hell brought to Earth on a Sunday morning. Battleship Row was a shooting gallery, and we were the targets. Torpedo bombers coming in low across the water. Dive bombers screaming down from above. Fighters strafing anything that moved. The Oklahoma was already listing badly, rolling over. The West Virginia was burning. The California was hit and settling. And the Arizona, Jesus Christ, the Arizona. At 0806, the Arizona exploded. I don't have words for it. 1,100 men died in 9 seconds. One moment she was there, burning but afloat. The next, this massive fireball erupted from her forward magazine. The explosion was so powerful, it lifted the front of the ship out of the water. The concussion hit us like a physical wall, even though we were hundreds of feet away. Debris rained down everywhere. Metal, wood, things I don't want to identify. The fireball climbed into the sky, rolling and black and orange. The shockwave shattered windows on Ford Island. The sound, it wasn't just sound. It was pressure. It was force. It was the world ending. Harris was screaming at me, but I couldn't hear him. Couldn't hear anything but ringing. He pointed at the flag locker, at the signal halyards. We had to signal other ships, had to coordinate, had to do our job, even though the world was ending. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely tie the flags. Had to send up enemy air raid, not drill. Not drill. Like that needed clarifying. Like anyone looking at the harbor could think this was a drill. The second wave hit around 0840. More planes, more bombs. We were getting underway by then. The Nevada was the only battleship to sortie during the attack. We had steam up, we had a skeleton crew, and we were going to fight our way out. I was signaling to the tugs, to the harbor control, sending and receiving messages about channels and depths and damage, all while planes dove on us, all while our anti-aircraft guns fired so close that the muzzle blast nearly knocked me over, all while men died around me. A Zero made a strafing run down our deck. I saw the cannon fire sparking off the steel, walking toward us. Harris pushed me down behind the signal bridge housing. The rounds hit where I'd been standing, punching through the thin metal like paper. When I looked up, one of the other signalmen, kid named Danny Jeffries from Alabama, was on the deck, blood pooling under him. He'd been learning Morse code just last week. He was 19. We kept moving, kept signaling. The Nevada was heading for the harbor entrance, and every Japanese pilot in the sky wanted to sink us in the channel. If we went down there, we'd block the harbor, trap the entire Pacific Fleet inside. Bombs fell all around us, near misses that threw up water, direct hits that crashed through our deck and exploded below. The ship shuddered and groaned but kept moving. Our guns never stopped firing. Every gun we had, 14-inch main batteries, 5-inch secondaries, everything, firing up into the sky at planes that seemed impossible to hit. I was sending signals with one hand, grabbing wounded men with the other, trying to pull them to safety between messages. The deck was slick with blood and oil and seawater. Bodies everywhere, parts of bodies. The smell, burning fuel, burning metal, burning flesh. You never forget that smell. Someone made the decision to beach her. The signal came from harbor control. Do not attempt to leave. Proceeding to hospital point to beach. Too much damage. Too much risk of blocking the channel if we sank. We turned, ran her aground on purpose at hospital point. I felt the ship shudder as her keel hit bottom. We were stuck, but we were afloat, and we could still fight. The Japanese kept coming. They wanted us dead, wanted every ship in that harbor on the bottom. Bombs, torpedoes, bullets. They threw everything at us. Our forward magazines were flooding. We had fires on multiple decks. Casualties were mounting, but the guns kept firing. I was hoarse from shouting signals to other ships, to shore stations, to anyone who could hear. My voice was nearly gone, but I kept at it. Semaphore flags until my arms felt like they'd fall off. blinker lights when the flags weren't fast enough, coordinating damage control, casualty reports, ammunition needs. A bomb hit the starboard side at 0905. The blast threw me across the signal bridge. I hit the railing hard enough to crack a rib. Got up because you had to get up. Got back to the signals because that was the job. Harris was still there, still directing, still coordinating, blood running down his face from a shrapnel cut. He looked at me, and I looked at him, and we both knew we might not make it. The Nevada might go down. We might end up in that oil-choked water with 1,100 men from the Arizona and hundreds more from other ships. But we kept working. What else could we do? The attack finally ended around 9:45, maybe later. Time had stopped meaning anything. One moment there were planes everywhere. The next, the sky was empty except for smoke. So much smoke. The entire harbor was obscured. You couldn't see Ford Island clearly. Couldn't see Battleship Row. Just smoke and fire and the sounds of men dying. We took stock. The Nevada was badly damaged but afloat. We'd lost 50 men killed, over 100 wounded. Light casualties compared to other ships. The Arizona was gone. The Oklahoma had capsized. Men trapped inside her hull, pounding on the plates. The West Virginia, the California, the Utah, all sunk or sinking. Over 2,400 Americans dead. Nearly 1,200 wounded. Most of the Pacific Fleet's battleships destroyed or damaged. All in less than 2 hours on a Sunday morning. I sat down on the signal bridge deck back against the housing and just stared. My hands were still shaking. Still are sometimes, 9 years later. The days after the attack were worse in some ways than the attack itself. They had us working around the clock. Rescue operations, damage control, body recovery. That last one, that broke something in me. We went back to the Arizona. Not aboard her. She was too hot, too dangerous, still burning. But around her. The water was thick with oil, 2 inches deep in places. Bodies floating in it. Some intact, some not. All of them sailors who'd been eating breakfast or sleeping or writing letters home when the bomb hit. We pulled them out. That was the job. Pull them out, identify them if possible, prepare them for burial. I pulled out 37 men over 3 days. 37. Some I recognized. Most I didn't. All of them somebody's son, somebody's brother, somebody's sweetheart. There was a kid, couldn't have been more than 18, still clutching a photograph. It was too damaged to see who was in it, but he'd held onto it as he died. His mother, his girl, someone he loved. He'd held that picture while he burned. I broke down, just completely broke down. Sat in the oil and the water and the death and sobbed. Chief Harris found me, pulled me up, didn't say anything. What was there to say? He just got me back to the ship, got me cleaned up, got me back to work. Because the work never stopped. Ships to repair, defenses to prepare. The Japanese might come back. We had to be ready. But I wasn't ready. None of us were. We were kids, most of us barely in our 20s. And we just watched our world explode, watched our friends die, watched our mighty battleships sink like toys in a bathtub. Everything we'd been told about American invincibility, about our fleet being unstoppable, lies. Comfortable lies that got 2,400 men killed on a Sunday morning. December 8th, we were at war. Roosevelt's speech, the Declaration, all of it. We'd wanted it after Pearl Harbor. We wanted revenge. Wanted to make the Japanese pay for what they'd done. But underneath the anger was this cold terror. If they could do this to us at Pearl Harbor, in our own harbor, what else could they do? I sent a telegram to Sarah. Just, I'm alive. I love you. Wait for me. That's all they'd let us say. I found out later that half of Chicago thought I was dead. The casualty lists were confused, incomplete. Sarah didn't know for sure until she got my telegram 3 days after the attack. I stayed in the Navy. spent the whole war on the Nevada after they refloated and repaired her. We went to Europe, bombarded Normandy on D-Day, came back to the Pacific for Iwo Jima and Okinawa. Good old Nevada. They couldn't sink her. But Pearl Harbor never left me. December 7th is seared into my brain in a way nothing else is. I can't remember what I had for breakfast this morning, but I can tell you exactly what the sky looked like when the first bomb fell, exactly what the Arizona looked like when her magazine exploded, exactly what the oil felt like on my skin when we were pulling bodies from the water. I got married in 1946. Sarah waited for me, bless her heart. We have 2 children now, good kids. I work as a radio operator for the city of Chicago. Decent job, steady pay, normal life. Everyone says I should be grateful. I survived. I came home. I have a family and a future. And I am grateful, but I'm also angry, still angry 9 years later, because we knew. Maybe not the exact day, maybe not the exact target, but we knew tensions with Japan were critical. We knew war was coming. And we were caught completely unprepared. Ships moored in neat rows like targets in a shooting gallery. Aircraft parked wingtip to wingtip to prevent sabotage, making them perfect targets for air attack. Ammunition locked away, watertight doors open. On a Sunday morning, half the crew on Liberty, the other half sleeping in. We were set up to fail, and 2,400 men paid for that failure with their lives. The official story is heroism and resilience, the Nevada's sortie, the Arizona's band playing as the ship went down, sailors manning guns while their ship sank under them. All true, all heroic. But heroism wouldn't have been necessary if we'd been prepared, if someone had listened to the warnings, if someone had taken the threat seriously. I think about the signalman's job, communication. My entire role was to send and receive messages, to make sure information got where it needed to go. And the biggest failure of Pearl Harbor was communication, intelligence failures, command failures, messages not sent, not received, not acted upon. All the signals were there that something was coming. We just didn't read them. Danny Jeffries, the kid from Alabama who died on our signal bridge, he wanted to be a teacher after the war, wanted to teach history of all things. He wrote about it in letters to his mother. What history would he have taught? What lessons would he have drawn from what we went through? The men trapped in the Oklahoma's hull, pounding on the plates while we tried to cut them out. We saved some. Not enough. The ones we couldn't reach, they drowned in the dark while we listened to them die. That sound, I still hear it sometimes when things get too quiet. The Arizona's men are still there. 1,177 of them entombed in that ship. It's a memorial now. People visit, pay respects, take photographs. But those aren't just names on a wall to me. They're the men I saw die. The bodies I pulled from the oil. The sailors who were eating breakfast one moment and dead the next. People ask me about Pearl Harbor. Want to hear the story, the excitement, the drama. They've seen the newsreels, read the accounts. They want a narrative that makes sense, that has clear villains and heroes and a message about American resilience. I tell them what they want to hear. The Nevada's heroic sortie, the anti-aircraft crews who fought back, the damage control teams who saved ships, all true, all important. But what I don't tell them, what I can't make them understand, is what it felt like to stand on that signal bridge and watch the world end. To realize that everything you'd been told about safety and security was a lie. That death could come on a Sunday morning out of a clear blue sky. That being young and strong and trained and ready meant nothing when a bomb fell on your head. I don't tell them about the smell, the sound, the taste of smoke and fear, the feeling of oil on your skin and blood on your hands, and the knowledge that you survived while better men died. They call us the greatest generation now, the ones who won the war, defeated fascism, saved the world. Maybe we did. But it started with 2,400 men dying because we weren't ready, because someone made mistakes, because the signals weren't read or weren't sent or weren't believed. I'm 41 years old. I have a good life, a loving wife, beautiful children. I should be happy. I am happy most days. But December 7th comes around every year, and every year I'm back on that signal bridge, sending flags while the world burns. Every year I see the Arizona explode. Every year I pull those bodies from the oil. Sarah doesn't understand why I can't go to Hawaii for vacation, why I won't even look at travel brochures with palm trees and beaches. How can I explain that paradise turned into hell in my memory, that I can't separate the beauty from the blood? The Nevada survived everything they threw at her. Pearl Harbor, Atlantic convoys, D-Day, Iwo Jima, Okinawa, even the atomic bomb tests at Bikini Atoll. Took them 5 shots to finally sink her in 1948. Toughest ship I ever knew. I survived too. Came home, built a life, moved forward. But like the Nevada, I carry the scars. Some visible, most not. The nightmares, the flashbacks. The way I hit the deck when a car backfires. The cold sweats on December 7th every year. This is what I want people to understand. Pearl Harbor wasn't a movie. It wasn't adventure or excitement. It was terror and chaos and death raining from the sky while we scrambled to respond. It was watching my friends die, watching our mighty ships sink, realizing that we weren't invincible, weren't safe, weren't prepared for what was coming. We won the war. 4 years of brutal fighting, but we won. And that's supposed to make it worth it, supposed to give meaning to those 2,400 deaths. But I think about Danny Jeffries, who wanted to teach history, about the kid clutching the photograph as he died, about the men trapped in the Oklahoma, pounding on the hull until they couldn't anymore. What meaning was there in their deaths? What lesson? That we weren't prepared, that war comes whether you're ready or not, that young men die while old men make speeches. I don't have answers, just memories, just the weight of having survived when so many didn't, just the images burned into my brain, the Arizona exploding, the harbor burning, the bodies in the oil, just the knowledge that December 7th, 1941, was the day I learned that the world wasn't safe and never would be again. The signal I sent that morning, enemy air raid, not drill, seems almost quaint now. As if anyone looking at Pearl Harbor that day could have thought it was a drill. As if the exploding ships and burning men and falling bombs could have been anything but real. But that's what we do, isn't it? We signal, we send messages. We try to communicate what we've seen, what we've experienced, what we've learned. And we hope someone receives the message, understands it, acts on it. My message is this. I was there. I saw it. I survived it. And I'm still there in some ways on that signal bridge, watching the world burn, trying to make sense of chaos that has no sense. We came home, but we never really left.